Hello and welcome to the beautiful Finale Ligure here in Italy. Now this place is one of the most iconic venues in enduro racing, but over the next couple of days we are going to try something brand new for the sport of mountain bike. Far from being the finished product, this EMTB test event is very much just that. It's 2 days of riding and racing through the hills behind us to find out just what it's going to take to bring EMTBs onto the racetrack. And when it comes to putting mountain bikes on the stages, there really is only one man you want to talk to. We're going to try and catch up with Chris Ball and find out a bit more.
The idea of incorporating, or developing some form of racing for e-bikes been around for a while for sure. I mean, obviously at the World Series we're kind of trying to lead the charge and push the boundaries of normal bike racing, so it was only natural that we wanted to kind of see how we could potentially develop a format for the growing e-bike innovations. Often people question why racing has to exist, and I completely understand that. I often sort of share that sentiment in a way. But what racing does do is it really focuses the mind on the performance of the bikes, of the trail design, of the trail development in a certain region. So here we have the new Finale trail map with e-bike climbs in the first directional trail in Finale that we're using for this test event. So already trying to avoid conflict in the growth of e-bike users on the current Finale trail network by linking the event and the test event to directional e-bike trail. So we've invited many of the main frame manufacturers here, and we've got a spread of professional athletes, some Enduro World Series champions, some guys who are already racing sort of semi-professionally in e-bike in France, all the way through to product engineers, some marketing guys, some journalists. It's a real spread, and it's going to give us really good feedback as to how everything from the product end and the development end right through to the highest level of competition feels about what we're thinking about doing.
What are you expecting, Curtis?
My heart rate not to get above 108 on any flat or climbs, but on the downs it'll probably be 170, just slightly terrified. This is a whole new learning experience, and
yeah, I've never done a 3-hour e-bike ride, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Like, you see a lot of e-mountain bikes these days on the normal trails, and now also the racers want to race on e-bikes. Well, I really appreciate the way how they do it, that they speak with the industry, that they speak with the riders, with the teams. I think it's very important to have everybody involved, so you can always see if there's still something to improve, if you can make anything better.
Obviously the stage are really well designed. We have some climbs, very technical, but we also have a lot of high-speed stuff where we need to obviously handle the bike the same way you would do with a regular bike.
Definitely the future in cycling is e-bike in every category. It's important that we come together from organizers, from pro sports and from the industry to define and help shape the future.
My first thought was, hey, super, now let's start doing e-bike racing and include the enduro in that, because I like that format and I think that's the best format you can have for e-bike racing.
So the format for today is going to be similar to a normal enduro. There's going to be 3 stages in the morning, and they're going to be flowy or fast trails with some punchy climbs in it for the e-bike. We're going to have lunch, a recharge, and then the afternoon stages are going to be really interesting because they're going to be more uphill focused, and they're going to end in stage 6, which is purely 100% uphill. The only thing left to do at the EMTB test event is to actually test it out, see if it works. Let's go to the stages.
Keep a little cozy corner in your heart for me.
I feel like that's what it feels like to be like just next level fit. Come out of a corner, you take a few cranks and you're back up to speed. It's a pretty cool feeling. Maybe that's what Richie feels like.
practicing is one thing, right? Because you're kind of cruising. But because we don't have these bikes dialed, as in the way we feel, braking points, the way they react, sliding through turns, because some sections, I feel like it almost feels better. It's more stable, it's planted, right? I don't know, you get in other sections and you just can't slow down and you blow past the turn borderline. So it's interesting, definitely keeps you on your toes.
Until now, we use those things to ride around in the pits. We never actually raced each other, you know? This is the very first time a lot of the pro riders and the industry comes together and we race those things. Everyone is struggling. You always look down on your battery, how long it lasts, which mode to use, where should you save energy and so on. It's just incredible. There's so much information to work with.
We've set a course here that's incredibly high level. I know a lot of the industry guys here are saying, what are we up to? But the goal was to very much say this is where we think it can go and this is what we think might be possible. But ultimately this format can be scaled back, but you can never truly test something unless you push the limit initially, otherwise you never really know where that ceiling is.
Keep a little cozy corner in your heart for me.
Stuff that you have never done before, for sure. It would be impossible on any normal bike.
With this level of technicity in a race, brings everyone into a super tough situation, but really cool.
If you were to look at the bottom of that, I personally wouldn't think, oh, you can ride a bike up that. But we did.
I think at the World Series we really believe that competition and events have a real responsibility, because what's being promoted and what's being pushed has a much wider impact on trail users, on trail networks, on the industry itself. There's so many open questions in e-bike racing, from the format right through to motor control, through to trail access, that we think there are people rushing into this, there are people launching series, but ultimately there's too many big questions unanswered to move with responsibility at that speed. So we, taking our time, we're making sure that if we do this and we do move forwards, it's at the right time with everyone, that we only improve and grow the potential for e-bike and remove the potential conflict in the coming years. And we answer all the questions before we actually award any champions, because otherwise it delegitimizes what could potentially be a great thing for the sport of mountain biking.
So there we have it then. We came into this weekend hoping to try and find some answers, and what we've actually found is more questions. But that's a healthy thing too, and that's always been a big part of what the EWS has been about and about the standards that it aspires to. I personally don't know what the future is going to be for e-bike racing, but the really important thing is that the people behind me, some of the biggest names and some of the biggest riders in the industry, are having the conversations that could hopefully lead us to step forward in a responsible and sustainable fashion. And regardless of what bike you ride, I think that's a really positive thing for mountain biking.